you can carpool with him. Elias Mackos is in transit on CJAD 800.
All right, welcome to the Monday edition of In Transit, and we're lucky today. Louis-André Bertrand is in studio. He's a spokesperson for Transport Québec, and we're going to touch on a couple of subjects that come from listeners. We got a note here at the station the other day. Someone had a genuine question. They were wondering about what's up with the lack of lane markings, the faded paint on Quebec highways, and they're saying, listen, I drive on the 13, I drive on the 15. I feel it's dangerous. So, Louis-André, thanks for joining us to talk about that and some more. Welcome to studio.
Good morning, Elias.
What do you say to that listener? And as a driver, I knew when I got this email, I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I've seen these roads where I'm like, you're driving? And you're like, wait, where's the lane? Especially, and it rains and it's dark. And then you're like, there are no lane markings that are visible. It's different during this, if it's sunny afternoon, you can kind of still see the lines. So what's going on here when it comes to that issue?
It's something we see rise up every spring because of winter operations. Basically, what happens is that when you look at the paint, we have over 90,000 kilometers of lanes that we do every year, that we go and redo. But so most of these lanes are with a water-based paint. That's what we found lasts the longest. And we add a coat of glass microbeads in it. Okay. These glass microbeads, they do a retro reflection. That means that when your lights go on them, you see the lanes very clearly. But over the winter, the salt that we're adding on the roads to take any ice or snow, it dries on top of those microbeads, and so they're not doing their work efficiently because they're being covered by the salt. That's why we need every spring we go around and redo those 90,000 kilometers.
Can I just ask you, because this is the thing, because I get it. It seems like a very valid explanation of what's happening, right? But then I would say if I drive to Ontario, if I drive south of the border, same climate pretty much, okay? Like I'm not talking about 500 kilometers away, but 100 kilometers outside of the Quebec borders, right? Where I find the paint there is sticking longer. It's, I don't, so I'm wondering, are they using a different material? You mentioned the water-based paint. I've heard that it's actually the oil stuff that stays better than the water-based stuff. So is there something to be said that we're doing something in Quebec that's not up to the same standard?
What we know we're doing in Quebec, we have a Laboratoire des Chaussées. So we have a Center of Excellence where they're studying the best ways to use all materials, and that includes paint. And over the years, we've done some testing, and really water-based paint is the one that lasts the longest compared to an alkyd paint. And we also use epoxy paint. Epoxy paint only works on new roads because it's you put it on top and it needs to dry and becomes like a layer. So it can be taken off when there's the snow operations being done. But there's also on the major highways, when we look at the 15, 13, we're going to do some indentation. And so the marking will be a little bit under the surface. So it'll be more resilient to snow removal operations. But when we look at the percentages, every year we have specialized trucks that go around the whole network, and they look at the quality of the road and of the paint. 2004, 73% of the roads had were meeting our standards for paint quality. Now we're at 93%. So
you're saying it's gotten better?
It has gotten better. And that I think is because we're at the start of the spring. So we have 90,000 kilometers to do, because we don't do operations in winter, only palliative operations that can be done with alkyd paint. But we go back every spring and we redo those 90,000 kilometers.
Is there prioritization that happens? Because or is it just, hey, here's the schedule, we're going to do it on the schedule? Because I would imagine there's certain parts of our road network where there's more cars, there's just more achalandage, whatever you call it. Now I'm forgetting the English word, but it's busier, and they're going to fade faster. So of course, those may need to get work done on them first, but you got a schedule and you go by a schedule.
It really goes, we prioritize the roads that has the more traffic on them. So there's a priority list that's being done. But yes, so realize you're doing 90,000 kilometers. Those trucks with the paints on them, they can only go to apply them correctly at 8 kilometers an hour. Okay. So do the math. It takes a few months to do the entire network, but there's a constant checking to make sure that we have the best quality possible. And once again, that retro reflection, the glass beads, we need to put another layer of them so that once again at night we get that.
Is it done every year?
It is done every year.
Yep. Okay, so the work is happening now?
It is happening. It has started. Usually we do the switch from snow operations to summer operations around Easter. So, it has started.
Okay. I want to talk to you about graffiti.
Yep.
Because you know what? I actually get angry when I'm driving through the Turcotte, and I pay taxes, and I just want to live in a beautiful place. And when I drive through the Turcotte, I get angry because it's the opposite of beautiful. It's like dystopian, and it's the whole Turcotte now. And it seems like nothing is done. And in fact, I did research before this segment, and I found the stories from 2019, media stories, right? About how the Turcotte was a disaster.
Yeah.
2022, so not 2019, 2022, now we're in 2025. Seems like every 3 years, there's a story about what a disaster it is. What's the explanation? Because I honestly don't understand how this isn't stopped earlier and how it isn't cleaned earlier. And I think we all know when you let that graffiti stay, it tells the graffiti community, come on down. Your canvas awaits.
Yeah, there's it's a larger stakes when we look at what the ministère can do. So what we do is that on all our structures, we go twice a year.
No, you don't.
We do twice a year.
Well, Turcotte that's impossible. Like Turcotte's a disaster. There's no way you've cleaned Turcotte twice in the last year.
I go with the teams, and the thing is, once it's clean, the next day it's being redone by graffiti artists. Well, just graffiti people. And we've been doing it every summer. I've been doing interviews about the graffiti. We go and we cover it, and people say, oh, you didn't come, but it's been redone over it. It's a work that's been done constantly. The one that's done faster, if it's a heinous graffiti, we'll have it covered more rapidly. But what the...
Have you thought about, maybe it's not just you to do this, it's you and the SQ and Montreal Police. Have you thought about, so you clean it, and then you have some guy and he sits down in a chair and he waits to arrest someone who shows up. Have you thought about that? Because if you're telling me, well, the next day it comes back up, so we can't do anything about it. Well, yeah, you can. If you know it's going to come back the next day, don't you try and make sure you'll catch the people doing it?
So we have our surveillance teams that are always on the ground, and they're patrolling the roads. And if we see somebody doing graffiti, we will call on the police services to come and check it out. But if you ask the police services, they set their priorities. And if someone is having an accident, they need immediate assistance compared to a graffiti being done, I think perpetrators are rarely getting caught. And so maybe that's one of the reasons that's part of it. But
if someone does get caught, do they face penalties really? Do you know?
They would get a fine, I believe. And so, but that wouldn't be on, we're not the ones setting those laws. It's about, we do those cleanups. We go twice, and every year people are saying, you're not doing it, but it's being done, but people are repainting over it, and it's an illegal thing to do.
Yeah.
And our teams are out there trying to do their best to remove all those graffitis, and that could be, like you're saying, it could be a full-time job, doing it nonstop, putting all our staff on it.
Yeah.
But that's a question, is that what we want to use public funds for?
Question of resources.
Yes.
But it's, it just seems like when you allow that to happen, it just leads to other bad stuff. Like, it gets people in a mindset, well, if they're going to allow the entire Turcotte interchange to be like, now it seems it's 100% covered. So when's the next cleanup?
Well, it has started. We've switched from snow operations to summer operations. The same teams are taking care of the grass cutting, of removing debris around any infrastructures, and so they're moving. But we have full teams are doing this full time, removing those graffitis. But like I'm saying, it's pretty much in the sense a lost battle, because we remove them, but they come back. It's much faster to do a graffiti than to cover it. So in that sense, that's why it's so resource intensive to do at work.
Listen, I have listeners, and they're sending me text messages, and they simply don't believe, that the work's done. And here's just one text message. Elias, I have an unrelated dash cam video of the Turcotte from 2023. Same graffiti in the exact same locations. Not clean since. Now, maybe this person is wrong, right? But certainly, like, I felt the same way. So what do you say to the listeners who are listening to us now, and whether it's the lane markings or it's the graffiti, they say, no, they don't believe you. What do you say to them?
I'll share you a story that was given to me by the team that's doing the graffiti removal. Yeah. So they had a specific graffiti on a specific infrastructure in the Turcotte. And they removed it. The next day it was back.
Same one,
same design. They said, you know what? We're going back. They did this for 7 days in a row. and every single day was coming back.
See, this is where I say
So-
you get the lawn chair and you put a police officer and he sits there at that point when
Is
it's
that
7
what,
days.
Well, that's the question. Is that what we want to do with our police service and police resources? But it's an issue that goes beyond what the minister can do. But in our case, so they went for it. They said, we're going to try and win this battle, but you're putting a lot of your resources, and then you look at a limited funds to do all this work that we have to do on our infrastructure.
I have a note from a listener. We got to be quick, but they were like, "Hey, why don't we try restrict access, barbed wire, other types of things? Can you do that? Can you try and make it harder to get there? Is that even possible?"
Well, it's already there's usually fencing that's being put in place. But then the barbed wires, that's depending on what you want to do, and add those resources to do that. There's always a way. If there's a fence, you can cut a hole in it and you can go through it. So it's really in that sense a battle that it's
seems like a losing battle.
It seems like a losing battle, and it's that sense that it seems that it's part of our culture in Montreal where graffitis are out there, and we try and remove them, but they're being replaced. Plus, we know that if you on certain structures, if you try to remove it, you can abîmer. You can
Coat it.
If you use the water pressure, or you can weaken the structure. So there's also that. Plus, the solutions are usually to try to grow vegetations over it. So you have to let all those plants grow over. So that's
going to be decades.
Option, and that's some work. That's some work.
Louis-André Bertrand is a spokesperson for Transport Québec. Merci beaucoup, Louis-André. Thanks for coming in.
All right, you're welcome.